to the Good Dog Guardians podcast. Vicky runs Love Your Paws down in Cornwall, and I love Vicky. So, did you want to tell us about Love Your Paws?
Yeah, so Love Your Paws is what it has changed over the years. I started as a dog walker nearly 9 years ago now. And I started dog walking because I was like a little bit of a crossroads in life and I knew I wanted to work with dogs, but I didn't know how. And I thought being a dog walker would just give me exposure to lots of different dogs and um, an opportunity to learn whilst continuing to earn some money. And at the time, I was also working for a local rescue. And over time, it's developed to become a dog training business. But throughout it all, the ethos has always been around helping people to understand their dogs. Not so much sit and stay and things like that, but truly understand. And I think as I've learned more about how dogs work and how people work with their dogs, my style of training has maybe sort of changed and adapted as we've gone along. And I often find it really hard to describe why maybe my puppy classes in the past were a little bit different to other people's. But people tell me it's because I help them see what their dog is seeing in a way that maybe other people haven't done in the past. So I get people to answer lots and lots of questions about what we're doing and what they see in their dogs and what they think they could do better to support their dogs. So right from the start, we're kind of thinking about life from their dog's perspective. And now Love Your Paws is predominantly classes, group classes based around scent, community, and just understanding dogs and helping pet dog owners give their dogs the best lives that they're able to give them that's meaningful both to them and their dog without rules and constraints or anything else. I think
Yeah, but
I think that's the best way to describe it.
yeah, wonderful. And it's very different, isn't it, to up until relatively recently, we believed that dogs had to have rules and restraints. And you're clearly working in the background to give quality of life to dogs and their people.
Yeah, and I think it's about helping people understand what quality of life actually is, because I think we've people who have dogs love dogs. There's no question about that. We all love our dogs, but then that doesn't necessarily mean that we understand what's best for dogs. And unless you take a step back and think about it from the dog's perspective, we're still just imposing people on them all of the time.
Mm.
And even with like a little bit of knowledge, I think we still do because that's inevitable. But, you know, the more we understand and the more we can create a life that's meaningful for them and that we can enjoy with them, then the better we all benefit.
Yeah, that's do you find that people respond well to that?
Um, I find that most people do. I
Mm.
think some people find it difficult in the start, and some people it just isn't for them, and that's fine. People will go and find their own way of being with their dogs. But I find that the people who get it have stayed with Love Your Paws and keep on coming. And they may try other things and go to other trainers for the different bits and bobs, but um, yeah, I think once people get it, they stay. And customers say things to me like, "I wish I'd known this for my previous dogs." Or I feel like a little bit guilty that my current dog is getting a life that I wasn't able to offer previous dogs. And that's down to their level of understanding and the relationship that they've managed to build with their dogs. So yeah, I think
Mm.
once people get it and see it from that way, then most people want to try and strive to live better with their dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. You're creating something beautiful. It's so nice to see and to know, I already know of you and how you work, but it's so nice to see. So, what has it really taken behind the scenes to create something that is, well, head and shoulders above what dog training used to be, which was walking in a circle in a village hall. Um, what has it taken for you behind the scenes to go in and weave that empathy into everything that you do with dogs and their people?
So I think it's come from two places really. But I was really lucky when I first started on my dog training journey. So when I first started, I had some great people around me, and they'd all been through kind of IMDT training qualifications, and so that's the route I took because that was, a lot of the advice I was given. And as I went through the IMDT process, I got in touch with a local I can never get the letters in the right order, IMTDB local trainer or behaviorist, and asked her if I could shadow her sessions. Um, and she kindly said yes, once she had vetted me quite thoroughly. And I was really lucky to have found Carolyn because she was already, her thought process was already very much about the dogs and being dog led and dog centered rather than task led. And I'm not sure if we specifically thought of it in those ways at the time, but that was just very much how she was leaning into things. So kind of right from the start of my journey, that was what I was around and what I saw, um, which all just kind of made lots of sense to
Mm.
me. And at the same time, I live with a border collie, as you know, called Sam, and Sam just finds life really difficult. And if you asked Sam to do something that he didn't want to do, he would tell you about it. And with a dog like Sam, you have to listen because if Sam tells you about if he doesn't want to do something, the response could in the past have been quite dramatic, I think is the right word. Um, and if I, hold my hands up, he was quite scary a lot of times. And so he taught me that it's just so much more about asking them to do something and then saying good and give them a biscuit for being good, which is, positive rewards based. Ask them to do something, reward them with something nice. But with him, that just wasn't ever going to be the way it works. So you had to kind of think about how to help him do what we needed, but in a way that made sense to him and in a way that benefits the dog as well as us, because it can't just be all about our benefit. And of course, dogs have to have rules within the world. I'm not saying that for any second that we need rules and we need boundaries for their safety and also for the way they process the world. They do thrive on having some boundaries and understanding where they fit. So it's not about allowing dogs to be permissive, but it's about helping our dogs learn how to live in our world in a way that makes sense to the individual dog. And so seeing kind of Carolyn's approach in puppy classes, and she does a lot of work. She did then and she still does now with a lot of dogs who struggle, with sort of big emotions and helping owners support those dogs through those and living with Sam. I think all of that just kind of melded together. And
Yeah.
kind of that's where it came from. And so I don't think I ever knew any different. I don't think I ever went, I'm going to change from this style of trainer to this style of trainer. I've just kind of developed as I've learned and gone along. Yeah.
Yeah. So just with when you talked about then about kind of ownership styles, guardianship styles, do you see yourself as having a guardian ownership style with your dogs?
Um, I think I've got a really different relationship with all of my dogs.
Okay.
Isn't it? It's really hard. So words, I think the words that we choose to use in any situation are really important. So for me, for example, I hate the word command. I hate everything that the word command like brings to mind and how it makes me feel. And yet a lot of people just see that word as a word as a way of saying, well, I've asked my dog to
Mm.
give it, to sit. And they don't mean anything like strict and regimented behind it. But I just hear that word and it makes me so I
Yeah.
think words are really powerful. And yet I can't find the right word for my relationship with my dogs. And so I go back and use the word owner because legally and technically that we are dogs owners. I don't like using the word mom. I'm not their mom. I don't like using the word. companion, and I don't know why. That's probably the best word to fit. Um, I know the other words that are used, guardians. Yeah, that works, but I've never found the right word that actually fits. So I
Yeah.
feel like Ness, my old dog, 'cause she was my first dog as an adult, she was like my buddy. She was my friend. We traveled the world together. Like she was my, I was going to say she was my everything, but all three of my dogs are. So, that's not just her. I would say like she was my friend. Whereas with Sam, I feel like I have to be his guide and his place of safety. And we learn from each other, Sam and I, most definitely. But I'm not sure that we're friends in the same way that Ness and I were.
Mm.
And she was like my adventure buddy. And then Lockie, maybe because I had her from a puppy, and Sam and Ness were both rescues. I got them slightly older, and they were kind of adolescent age when I got them. But with Lockie, I don't know. Maybe I do feel a bit more of that, like maternal is the wrong word, but that nurturing side to Lockie
Mm.
because she came home at 8 weeks old. So, and I definitely feel like there's a different relationship with her, but that's based on the relationship that I had with the other two and everything that I've learned from the other two. So I struggle with the words that we use because I think we have a different relationship with each dog that comes into our lives.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. I see my two as my family.
Yeah,
And so but I'm very permissive as well. So I don't have rules really, other than safety rules. But yeah, well, they need different things from us, don't they? And they
yeah,
need, and we have to be aware enough to provide individual things for the individual dogs. So
yeah,
I get that.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, and the each dog is an individual, but obviously like, a breed type makes such a difference in terms of their behavior and how they view the world and how different challenges may present to them. And so you will have different rules for different dogs as well.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did that answer your question? I've actually forgotten what it was now.
Oh no, is it the question length?
No, it wasn't the question length. I think it was how long I talked, and now I can't remember what it was I was answering.
You actually answered before I asked it, which was tell us about your dogs and how they've shaped your work.
Ah.
But you've answered it already, so we'll go on to why did you choose to prioritize scent work?
So it took me a long time to be brave enough to prioritize scent work in terms of business because although I love working, I've always loved scent work and I love working with dogs and people, but also I need to pay my mortgage. And I was never entirely sure that people would buy into it. So scent work started way back in when I used to take Sam to some training classes with other local IMDT trainers who both came from a rescue background and completely understood that Sam struggled in some situations. And they always made sure that their classes were accessible to Sam. Um, and they just introduced some fun scent work games. And he loved them from the very first simple scented cloth being hidden behind a chair. He used to watch all of the other dogs and be like, "It's over there. Be quick. It's over there. I've seen it. It's over there." So we used to play games like that. And then I went on a 6-day MDT course a few years ago. Um, and I was brave and took Sam with me, and he kind of coped with most of the course. And for some reason, a lot of that, so I think the 6-day course of the IMDT kind of changes in terms of its content. And it just happened to be a very scent heavy syllabus, which was amazing for us because we learnt loads. And he lit up. He was able to walk into a training room, and it was a big purpose-built training room full of people and go and search for scent and then walk out without reacting to a single
Mm.
person. And Sam is not a dog who can be around people. He really struggles. Um, and before so that was the kind of the start of scent work and go, look, I want to learn about this. And following that, I did the School of Canine Science, Scent for Six, and I did your course. I did some UK sniffer dog courses, and then alongside all of that, way before then, Carolyn, who was my mentor, her passion is tracking, and so I took did some tracking with Sam, and again, he just, I mean, like a duck to water, but like a dog to tracking is what they do. And seeing Sam in his element, I mean, we must have started that, I don't know, 8 years ago or something. And he was just phenomenal and he loved it. And the first time Sam was ever able to approach a person through choice, literally the first time he approached a person he didn't know through choice was tracking. And I'd I'd asked Carolyn a question actually. I'd said to her, because I was trying to understand, this was a long time ago, about scent, and I was like, how does he know which person to follow? Um, which now seems very obvious to me, but at the time, she said, well, let's see. So she and another chap, Simon, they walked off together, and then they, just basically did what I now know as a split trail. And they both were standing in the open. They weren't hidden in any way. And Sam took the scent of Simon's article, but he knows Carolyn really well. It's one of the people in the world that he's comfortable with. But he followed this track and he got to, where it split, and he looked at Carolyn and went, "Sorry, mate, it's not you today," and walked up to Simon. But not, he didn't just indicate at Simon. He walked up to Simon, sat next to Simon, looked up at him, looked at me, and then walked away. And that was his first time he ever approached a person that he didn't know. And like even now, like all these years later, that still makes me go,
Mm.
and just seeing the power in that, and being allowing a dog to do what comes naturally to them. It's us who's learning when it comes to scent work, not our dogs. So seeing that the confidence that came from him being able to just show me what he could do and go, it's this person, and then and then walk away was just utterly phenomenal to me. And the reason why I love teaching it still so much is when people see their dog do their dog do that for the first time, I feel that sense of magic every single time I see that, and I see that the owner um have that experience with their dog. And so scent work in terms of looking for a specific scent, like whether it's Kong or clove or whatever you choose. I mean, I love that. That's brilliant. It's a way we can like learn how to motivate our dog. We can learn about different ways of teaching our dogs. We can teach them beautiful indications. We can teach them different search patterns. And it's like phenomenal for building that level of understanding between dog and owner, and giving the dog something really worthwhile and meaningful and something that makes them feel good. But tracking and trailing, it's just next level stuff. And that is, it just, it's mind blowing. And literally, if I could just do that every day, all day, then that's all I would do. I mean, I
Mm.
just think everybody should do it with their dogs. I like you just let dogs really show what they're capable of.
Yeah, you're certainly talking me into it.
If you had taught me how to do it.
No, but I spend way too much time on a computer. Brilliant. Okay, so if you were talking to a guardian, an owner, about scent work and how it can help their dog, as if they'd never heard of scent work before, and obviously we know that dogs are individuals, but if you were talking to someone and you were going to tell them how scent work can help them, their dog, and their bond, what would you say?
So for me, the way I always describe it to new people is that we're not teaching the dogs what to do, because our dogs already know what to do.
Mm.
I know we can't teach them to use their nose. They know how to use their nose. They use their nose like every day. What's what we have to do is learn how to motivate our dogs to search for this a scent of our choice. And so
Mm.
everything becomes about us making this a fun game for them so that they can show us what they're capable of. So we have to learn how to make a scent appealing to them. We have to learn how to motivate them. We have to like teach them how to search step
Mm.
by step. And so, yeah, we're taking a skill that they're really capable of and that they do all of the time. And we're just putting some human parameters around it. And we're breaking it down really small into nice little step by step by step by step so they understand how to play their game with us so that we can benefit from them and then they can benefit from us. Um, and in doing so, we learn how to motivate our dogs or what motivates our individual dog because it's different for every dog. We learn what environments they feel comfortable in, which environments they can search in, and what environments they need our support in. We learn about their body language, when they feel safe, when they want to work, when they're on a scent, when they're not on a scent. We learn when we're teaching them different search patterns, we start to learn different communications about asking them to move in different ways. And people often say to me, "Oh, I'd love to try scent work, Vicky, but I need to do lead work, learn how to walk on a loose lead first. I need to learn how to do recall first." And I'm like, it's back to front. It's
Mm,
to front. You need to learn this first because if you
mm.
understand this, you'll know how to motivate your dog to do other skills. You'll have a bond with your dog that you didn't have before because now you've got the shared communication around something that your dog wholly understands. So for me, like scent work in terms of training and life skills and building a bond is the start, not the end point. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you're right. And you kind of made me realize something then that scent work is dog led and it is dog led. We do all the things that we really want people to do for and with their dogs, observe them, motivate them, understand them, watch them, um, help them to use their natural behavior. And we do all that just by teaching them, teaching us to teach them to search for the one thing we want them to. But yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Be-
And I think if we get that level with them and people enjoy scent work and do scent work and then you go on to tracking and trailing, it takes all of that up to the next level because
mm,
the verbal cues are gone. It's just you communicating down that line to your dog. And it's about us, not them, because that is completely dog led.
mm,
You know, we were we were doing some trailing in the woods recently, and one of the my customers, she's like, just makes you realize, Vicky, like a human couldn't have just done what we've just done. Like if we had this area to search, that would have taken like hundreds of people to find the missing person or whatever we were looking
mm,
for. Whereas in that moment, the trail was about 400 meters long, so it was pretty long through woodland. It was like, and it took the dog about 6 minutes to go from there to there. Um,
mm.
they didn't need our help. I mean, we can just do it. Um, and then we see how incredible our dogs are and what they're capable of. Um, yeah, and it's so easy to give them the opportunity to do that. I mean, they're just and at some things like so far superior to us. And yet most dogs spend their life doing a half an hour walk on
Mm,
lead and sitting on a sofa, and that makes me sad.
mm. Yeah, yeah. It can only be good that people can see how amazing their dogs are. It can only do good. To move away from just a dog to an equal, really,
Mm,
because they're better than us at things.
yeah, like some things are
Yeah,
like far better than us.
yeah, yeah. Wonderful. We move on to a slightly different topic now. So you clearly give everything to your dogs and to your business. You give everything. Um, you've created this amazing thing. How do you protect your own well-being?
Um, oh,
I just explain a little bit further, just to
okay.
give you. So a lot of dog professionals find it hard work, and a lot of dog professionals say it's the people that are difficult. I can't get the people on board. I've never heard you say anything like that. Um, I've never seen you struggle with being positive about being a dog professional. So how do you protect your own energy to keep that positivity?
So mm, I think it's because it's about the dogs, and also because I I actually kind of enjoy being with people as well. So I think some people want to work with dogs because they prefer dogs to people, and I can completely understand why. Um, but I think if you're working as a sort of a dog trainer or behaviorist, you have to like people,
Mm,
because if we can't get the people on board and change the people, we won't change the dogs. Um, and so I've also been really careful about how I've built my business. So I used to offer some one-to-ones, and I realized really quickly one-to-ones that weren't for me, because in that one-to-one setting, I don't find people so easy. I find people in a group setting much
mm,
easier. Um, and I couldn't put my finger on why, but when there's a group of people, maybe it diffuses those people who you find a little bit more difficult, because some people we click with and some people we don't. That's just the way of the world. Um, but also, I think when you have more than one person and with their dogs present, you're able to show how other things are working.
mm,
One person struggling with a concept or an idea or how to get their dog to engage, then there's often somebody else that you can say, well, look, that's how they've done it. Maybe we could try that. Um, but I've also pivoted my business quite regularly to make sure it stays in line with what feels true to me. Um, because I think if I could only do this if I was offering a service that I feel is wholly valuable to the people that I'm offering it to. I can only offer a service that I feel is good value for money and that dogs and their people will genuinely benefit from. And so if I believe wholeheartedly in what I'm doing, I can sing and dance about it till the cows come home. Um, and I will happily spend weeks, months, years trying to change somebody's opinion on something to help them see it better. So if I'm not the right trainer for somebody, the other thing I think I've got right as well is my Facebook messaging over the years. So I kind of
mm,
tend to only attract people who are going to be on board. And those few people who come along who just don't quite get it because they just want, answers and dogs to perform, they don't stay, so they don't drain you.
mm.
So and
Yeah.
it's also about two other things as well. So one is about finding your tribe in terms of other dog training professionals around you. So there's a number of professionals locally to me who I speak to regularly, who I catch up with. But I've also got some sort of online friends. There's a little group of us who met on a course years ago, and we speak on WhatsApp almost daily. We catch up monthly, and we've just become like a little business pod of people. There's seven of us in total, who just have been there, but you can just be yourself and chat and have that support. But then I've also chosen some wise mentors over the years. And so, I've been in some of your programs, and I've worked with Andy Hale, and I currently work with Holly Tett as well. And I think when you work with mentors, it helps you understand yourself um, more. And when you understand yourself more, it helps you protect yourself. So, I've learned different things from all three of you that I've also did some work with Helen Mottram as well, years.
Mm,
Um, and I think working with coaches and mentors absolutely helps you grow and be true to yourself. And when you're true to yourself, it helps not have burnout. And that's not to say that there's times where I don't get sucked into my business and forget that I have a life as well. And actually, that's my biggest struggle. But then whenever we talk about my business, I get excited about it. about it again. But I do find that sometimes there'll be 3 or 4 days where all I've done is either be with clients or sit at my computer all about the business, and I haven't,
Mm.
other than walk the dogs, done anything fun or different for myself. And that's the part that I sometimes have to just make sure that I am getting out and being a person as well.
Yeah, so you're just true to yourself and you're completely and
You know,
that
so
helps your strength.
yeah, so my dad was in sales, and he sold fertilizers to farmers. And
Mm.
he worked for a company that he wholly believed in. I don't know the details about fertilizers. I know nothing about them, but he believed in the way that these fertilizers were made. And we're going back some time, 20 years or so since he retired. But he wholly believed in these, and so he was really successful. And that was the only job he had basically. Most of his, pretty much his whole career was selling fertilizers. And he wholly believed in it and he was great at it. And he was often headhunted to go and work for other companies. And he's like, there was no way I could sell a shower to an old lady who didn't want a shower. He's like, I can sell products that I wholly believe in and that people need.
Yeah.
And that's kind of just always stuck to me. So building products that you wholly believe in, that you believe are worthwhile for the people who are buying them, I think that absolutely helps protect your well-being because you're being true to yourself.
Yeah, and if we don't do that, it shows, I think, as well. If we don't fully believe in what we create, I think it does show, and other people see it. If they don't see it, they feel it. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. But I also think that we need to understand our worth and charge what we believe is a fair value for the service that we're delivering. Um, because whilst, yeah, it would be absolutely amazing to be able to offer what you do to everybody, we still have to recognize that if you've set this up as your business and your way of, making
Mm,
a living, that you have to do that as well. I'm not a fan of I don't know, some business coaches say things to you like, work out how much money you want to earn over a month, how many hours you want to work a
mm,
week, and then that's what you charge your person. And I'm like, I could never work that way. You
yeah.
you have to offer a service that you're able to offer confidently that means something. And then you can't just slap a price ticket on it because you think you deserve to earn however much.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, you need to charge something that's worth, you need to value yourself within that as well.
Yeah. And generally I find, you probably find it as well, that if you don't put a value on something, people don't appreciate it. And then
But
you end up being exhausted for people that because they haven't paid for something don't put any value on it at all, and it's a
yeah,
big learning curve, isn't it?
I've had this lesson recently. It's absolutely true. So I'm part of this really brilliant project currently with the National Trust, and the sort of the local National Trust property here at Estate, Godolphin. Doing some work with them around helping. They want to understand how d dog owners use the estate and try and, get people to look after the environment better, follow signage and all of those types of
Mm,
things. And as part of the project, they've asked me to lead a walk once a month, supporting people to learn how to walk their dogs on a long line or on a lead, and so they can follow the on-lead restrictions. And they want to offer it as a free product. So, and it's being sold through my booking system, but it's free. So, and I have the highest rate of people not turning up
mm,
than anything else. Everything else, if people can't turn up, they let me know. "Oh, so sorry, Vicky, I'm booked in, but I'm not going to be able to make it, or whatever." This people just book it because it was free. They just don't,
uh,
and they don't bother to let you know. So yeah, if things are free or they don't see it as worth something, then they don't value it.
mm. Yeah, so it's finding that midpoint, because the amount of times we can say, well, I want to help people, so I'll just do it for free, and there are some
Mm.
who appreciate it, but mostly you find that people don't. So. Yeah.
But also, isn't that the beauty of being self-employed as well? That when you have somebody who you really want to be able to help in a certain way, that
Mm,
you can reduce prices for people or offer a freebie here and there and not have to ask somebody else. That's one of my most favorite things about being my own boss.
yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, another question. Um, well, I think we've covered that one. The question is, how has your self-assessment changed the way you support guardians and their dogs? But I think we've covered that.
And yeah, I think I've kind of learnt as well over the years, like because I've had so many different types of customers and different ages of customers that I've kind of you learn more as you go.
Mm,
I think the when you start out and you have like all of these ideals that I really want this to happen and this to happen and this to happen and you try really hard to make those things happen just quickly. I suppose like a really good easy example that most people would understand would be a puppy owner turning up with a puppy on a slip lead. And like as a new trainer, I might have been like, can't have a slip lead and tell them straight away why they can't have the puppy
mm,
lead. Whereas now I wouldn't say anything for a little while. I would wait until I understand the people a little more. I try and work out why the puppy's on a slip lead. And often, without even saying to them that a slip lead isn't the best thing for a puppy to be on, just by other things you chat about in the class that week, they will turn up the next week in a harness without having made them feel like they've done wrong by their puppy or they're hurting their puppy or anything else. Because, most people don't do things like that or anything else to hurt their puppy. And if they'd understood that what they're doing has a potential risk factor involved, then,
mm,
they won't. So yeah, I think you just learn how the best way to help people come round to a different way of thinking without being confrontational in any way. But I have to admit, when I'm tired, and there are moments where I find it difficult and I might be slightly short with people, you but I try really hard not to be.
yeah, it's probably not noticeable, to be fair. Um, what you're pointing at there is wisdom, and when we're younger and less able to, we understand less about life and how people are. We seem to have less impulse control on what we disagree with. But as we get older and we see a lot more and we realize, then what you're doing now is you're approaching difficult things with wisdom, and that's amazing.
Yeah, I try to
Yeah.
be. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how wise I am, Sally, but
Oh, you are. You are. Okay, so what helps you stay grounded in integrity?
um, not.
I think it runs through you.
I was just going to say it. I don't think I could do something that I just didn't believe in. I said, I'm not
Mm,
sure. Yeah, I don't know that anything helps me. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know how to answer because I
I
don't.
think.
If something didn't sit right, if I had put on a session or I'd started doing something and I'm watching a dog and owner struggle, it just wouldn't carry on. I would just say to them, "This is wrong. We need to stop this." Or I might put on a new product and think it's worth this, and then go, "Oh God, that was overpriced," and I would probably just give them a refund and start again. I just couldn't do something that I didn't believe in.
Mm, yeah, it's like if you were a stick of rock, integrity would run down the middle of you. I think that's who you are. You are that person. Okay, last question. What are your plans next?
For Love Your Paws. So I think what I really want to do, and I don't know how to do it, but I'm sure I will find some help from some people along the way to do it, is I've created or I'm creating a way. So I've stopped doing puppy classes. But for a million reasons, I've stopped doing puppy classes. There's lots of great puppy classes locally. I don't have enough time in the week to do everything that I want to do anyway. And puppies are welcome at all of my classes. I don't have a class. There's not many classes I run that aren't suitable for any age of dog. I've got, 13-year-old almost blind Jack Russell Terrier. I've got a 12-year-old blind Cocker Spaniel, and we've got puppies and like everything in between. And they can, come to any class that's suitable for them. But what I really want to do is create a puppy program that is scent led. So, like I was saying before, I don't think scent work should be something that you aspire to once you've done puppy class and once you've
Mm.
done sorted your lead work and got your recall. I think we should start with it. And so, what I want to do is create a puppy program that is online, that's accessible to everybody and anybody in terms of geography. Well, how do you raise your puppy led by scent? Um, and then somebody wrote a book on it, and I was scared to write the book. Um, because until your book came out on puppy scent, and I still haven't read it, Sally, because I don't want to be like, I don't want to read it and then go like, you stole my ideas.
I wouldn't do that.
Until you brought that book out, there isn't anything out there that says, let's start life with scent. And I think with Lockie, so she's only 2.5. I think I just did all of the stuff with scent. And not formal, I'm not talking about formal, let's teach them how to search for Kong.
Mm.
I'm just talking about how to help a puppy process the world and think about the world and use scent as a way of helping us teach lead walking and bonding and calming and all of those things. I think I just did it naturally with Lockie. But at the time, because a lot of my classes, my puppy classes they weren't traditional rewards based classes. They were still a little bit different. Um, but I just wanted to make them more and more and more scent.
Mm.
As soon as you start talking about scent, people go, "Oh, I need puppy class first." So what I want to do, I've created a one-to-one program, which is going really well so far. Again, it's all scent led, but I want to create an online version of that. So I don't know how I do that. But that's the next thing for Love Your Paws.
Yeah. It's beautiful, and you know why it's beautiful? Because puppies pop into the world and we immediately start putting our communication style on them.
We people them.
Yeah, we do. We assume that they're going to mold to our communication style, but the idea of actually creating something that is catered completely to their primary sense, giving more than we take from these animals is beautiful.
Yeah, I do because it always surprises me when people turn up to puppy class and yeah, there's some puppies there who people they're rubbish at sniffing. And I'm like, oh
Oh no.
or yeah, they'll look for that because it's food. Yeah, they're foraging. Of course they're looking for food. Why is that a bad thing? Yes, all of that. And then the other thing that I've started doing as well. I don't know. I just had like a little bit of a thing in my head the other day and it just went raw. I don't really know what happened. But I'm trying to help. So my track and trail class, which is my favorite thing that I run, um, and I'm not competitive with my dogs. I'm not a competitive person. I've never wanted to win team sports or individual sports
No.
like that, but I do like seeing how I'm progressing. And so I've just created. I'm waiting for them to be delivered. Progress logs and trackers for my scent work and for track and trail so that people can see how they're progressing and they can work towards some Love Your Paws awards um, that I don't even know what I've called them. But it's about them and their dog and their journey as opposed to, you know, so I think because one thing that we haven't talked about, which is I think something I've not experienced before, and other people who do training with quite a few different trainers say they've only experienced it with me, is that we reflect afterwards on scent work and track and trail. We always talk about what their experience was in that class. How do they think the
Mm.
experience was for their dog? What could they have done better? How their handling skills may have contributed to success that day, or did they hinder their dog's progress that day in any way? Did they have any light bulb moments? We just get talking about them. So within their little progress books, there's lots of like little reflection moments like that to get them thinking about how things went. Um, so yeah, that's the other thing that's going on at the moment. Can't wait for
And
them to live.
when you do your reflections, do you do it in a group so
Yeah,
everybody? Yeah,
yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. So let's say that you were talking to somebody with their dog that you don't know, and you were giving them instruction as to how to reflect on what they're doing with their dog. What would you say? How would you frame that?
So I kind of make it a little bit more free flowing than that. So rather than kind of I, because it's in a because we don't have groups that are levels. It's not like
Mm,
it's just beginners. Everybody is at whatever level they're at because each dog can work within their own level within that group.
yeah.
And so somebody new will just see what other people do. And I just ask really like genuine questions, and people are free to respond in whatever way makes sense to them. And some people are really happy to talk about how it's made them feel or what they think. Other people give much more pragmatic answers. And other people just go, yeah, I was a bit rubbish today, or this was great today. And that's enough for them. And that's absolutely fine.
Mm,
Because even if they're part of the conversation and they're listening to what other people are saying, they'll be thinking about it.
yeah, yeah.
So on their drive
Amazing.
home, yeah, I'm sure then they kind of process and think, because not everybody wants to share something like that in a group. Um, but the more people come to classes, the more they do start sharing, and like everybody ends up sharing how they felt or how they felt their dog had done or how they felt they'd supported their dog that day or whatever.
Mm,
And I've got one customer who's utterly amazing because his answer, well, how did your dog do today? Legend. He was an absolute legend.
mm.
He's got two dogs and they're both legends. Um, and so
Oh,
yeah, so it's just amazing because these are just not just, but I work with pet dog owners who just want to give their dogs, a happy, meaningful life. So in our classes, we've got Cocker Spaniels, German Shepherds, Cairn Terriers, standard poodles, miniature schnoodles, miniature sausage dogs, standard sausage dogs, and like everything in between. And it just shows that every dog is capable of doing these things.
beautiful. Love it. And you're also creating a another thing that I think contributes to the success that you have is you're creating a community with people. You're having people feeling seen. You're having people getting together in a group, and it might be the only time that that happens for those people. So, and you're creating that too.
Yeah, a lot of people say I have commented in the past about how it's a community that they feel safe in and
Mm,
that they've felt that they've been able to thrive in. And we've got a Facebook group, and people support each other there. And just, I mean, recently, one of my customers, her dog was attacked recently really badly on a walk, and it really knocked her confidence massively. And two of my clients offered to take her and her dog for a walk, just to go and help her build her confidence back up. I've got another client who needed to go to a hospital and was worried about how to get there. And another client went, well, I'll take you.
beautiful.
Um, things like that happen all of the time, and purely because have met through, um, you know, coming to dog training. And because it's not about dog training, it's about people and their dogs enjoying their lives together,
Yeah.
and creating meaningful relationships. And that's not just with their dogs, it's with the people that they meet on that journey.